Hello, everybody. It is Tom, and welcome to the opposite side of my desk. So, the air conditioner is right over there, and it blows directly where I usually sit next to my bookshelf. Since it's like 100 degrees out, again, I'm sitting on the opposite side, next to the drum kit and the guitar in the kitchen. And the light is different because it's morning! Yay! Now you know everything. Now I've explained everything unnecessarily about the lighting and location of this video. Anyway, so today I thought we would start on a new video series in which we look at the comics of Heartstopper and talk about them and also, compare them to the show and have discussions as we do because, we may have finished looking at the episodes of Heartstopper, the TV show, for season 1, but I'm not ready to stop talking about Heartstopper, are you? Maybe. If you are, then, I don't know what you're doing here, but... Okay, anyway, so let's begin. Alright, so today we're going to be looking at Chapter 1, Part 1, Section 1 of Heartstopper, the comic/graphic novel, which is entitled Meet. So, similarly to the show, we start with a close-up on Charlie's messages with Ben, and I think it's interesting to see that, there's no chatting going on here. It's literally just Ben saying a location with a question mark, and Charlie saying K, okay, or yep. So, this is not a romantic arrangement. And the show, I think, Charlie has a little bit more of a... I think Charlie is a little more innocent in the show, and he seems to be more hopeful about his relationship with Ben being, a big sweeping romance. Whereas here, it's much more of a business-like arrangement. I don't know if it's been that way the whole time or if it's just gotten to this point, but, we have library, okay, music room 2, yep, library, and then we can't see his response, but, okay, so anyway, we see Charlie and Ben kissing in the library. The bell rings, and Charlie's like, gotta go. And Ben is annoyed, and he says why, and Charlie, of course, apologizes and says sorry. And, of course, in the show, Ben is usually the one who's cutting short their encounters, but in the comics, it's more often Charlie. Okay, and then we learn that there are new form groups. Oh my god, what could come of that?
Don't forget there'll now be students from all school years in your new form groups. I hope you enjoy getting to know some fresh faces in registration each day.
Okay, and then here we are, Mr. Lang, the one who started it all. Now, of course, in the show, the second that Charlie sees Nick, he's just heart eyes. But here, you can see he looks kind of nervous. He's like, hi. And Nick is just Golden Retriever Nick smiling happily. And then we see Charlie sneaking a glance at Nick as he walks by, thinking some thoughts. And then we move on to what in the show is the hi sequence.
Hi. 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 Hi.
But here we have a bit of variety. So we have all right. Morning. And then here is Charlie being anxious and suspicious, which I really do think this makes sense. As I said before, I think comics Charlie is a lot less naive and innocent than TV show Charlie because, he spent so much time being bullied by the people in Nick's year and, the rugby lads and stuff like this. So, of course, he is suspicious of this popular rugby guy suddenly just being perfectly nice to him and saying hi to him all the time. So we have his monologue here of why does he always say hello to me every single morning? Is it a joke? Is it like the guys who used to bully me last year all over again? He's probably just making fun of me. Why else would he talk to me? He's not even in my year group. He probably thinks I'm going to hit on him or something, etc. But then it's time for the ink explosion.
You don't have a tissue, do you? My pen just exploded.
Yeah, so just the art in this part is so, so it always makes me laugh, Nick making this face, and then especially Nick making the face when Mr. Lang says, oh dear, Nick, you'd better go clean up in the bathroom. Okay, so once again, Mr. Lang, MVP, putting Charlie and Nick together, because, first of all, Mr. Lang makes them sit together, and then he has Charlie go and help Nick with this situation, which of course is what really kicks off their friendship. Okay, so off they go down the hall, Nick being apologetic and covered in ink. So then they start chatting. They talk about how their teacher smells like cat food, talk about how the pen exploded, and then we have the epic scene, which is pretty much word for word in the show. It's not coming off. You're going to be blue forever.
It's not coming off. You're going to be blue forever.
So then the bell rings, and in this case, Charlie goes to check the time to see if it's the first bell or the second bell, and he has a message from Ben saying music room 2, but of course, Charlie, being occupied helping Nick Nelson with his pen explosion, has not replied. So Ben is getting testy. Charlie, where the fuck are you? I'm waiting. Can't even be bothered to text me. You're so fucking useless. So, yeah, great, Ben. And Nick just being innocent golden retriever, like, yes, what? And now we come into them being friends, and we see lots of lovely moments of them kind of interacting together and being friendly, like them cracking up together in form, and Nick just passing Charlie in the hallway and flicking him in the head. Like, I really like all these moments here. Okay, and then Charlie is talking to Tao, who is skeptical.
I can't believe you've been sat next to rugby king Nick Nelson. Like, what are you going to talk about every morning?
About Nick, saying, come on, he's a fucking chav. He probably calls everybody mate and throws food at people on the bus, which I'm sure he doesn't. And then, it's Ben with Ben's girlfriend. And Charlie turns away and then immediately messages Ben, I don't want to meet up anymore. Which is good. Okay, and then we move into Charlie running. I don't want to go to school. I don't want to take the cold. This plays out pretty similarly to how it does in the show, where Nick is watching, except his friends ask him, what are you staring at? And he says nothing. So, like, he's been staring for long enough that his friends have noticed. And then Charlie looks over at Nick and sees him. And then, I think we get a lot more of, like, Charlie looking at Nick, obviously feeling crushed feelings on him, and then being depressed about it in the comics than we do in the show. Okay, now, in the show version, when Charlie's at his locker, it's just Nick who comes up to him. But in the comics, Ben actually comes up to him first and is like, hey, Charlie, I need to talk to you, because he's mad that Charlie has been ignoring him for 2 weeks. And then Ben actually gets a little violent and grabs Charlie by the collar when Nick shows up and asks if everything's all right. And so Ben is not worried about being seen in public with Charlie, but is just like, we'll talk later, Charlie. Now, in this version, Ben and Nick are not actually friends.
You're friends with Ben? Yeah, he's in my year. We hang out sometimes.
So Nick says, why are you friends with Ben Hope? He's kind of a dick. And Charlie's like, we're not friends! And then has to come up with a lie. He's like, I help him with his maths homework. And then, of course, we have Nick wanting to ask Charlie a question, and Charlie daydreaming about Nick wanting to be with him forever.
I wanted to tell you that I'm gay too, and I'm in love with you. Do you want to go out with me?
And this plays out pretty much exactly as it does in the show, except Charlie's like, oh crap, I'm missing my drum lesson. And we have this lovely moment of Nick with a little bit of a blush on his cheeks, being like, oh, he plays the drums, oh. And then we skip to 1 week later, where Charlie is about to come to rugby practice, and same kind of situation as we get in the show, where all the lads are kind of skeptical. Although we do have in this one the fact that not only is Charlie less naive in the comics version, but he's also more popular. So in the show, basically what happens is that we're led to believe that Mr. Ajayi is the reason why the bullying stops. So he kind of intervenes and stops the bullies from bullying Charlie. But in the comics, it's actually some older guys who step in. And I guess because of that, Charlie becomes more of like a popular guy where like everybody's like, oh, these older kids like him, so he must be cool. I mean, he is cool, but... So it's interesting that we get kind of a different version of Charlie in this, where like a lot of people at school have a positive opinion of him, so he's not a borderline outcast. And I'm not sure which one I prefer. Like, I think it's kind of nice to have a situation where like the outed gay kid is not an outcast, but I do think it's maybe, I don't know, I maybe it's a little more realistic the way that the show does it, but either way, you know. Okay, so Charlie comes in. It's not awkward at all. At least some of the guys have the well, at least Christian has the decency to look awkward at the fact that they've just been trash talking this dude, and here he is. So then we get a lovely explanation of rugby, from Nick, which Charlie is like, I don't know what these words mean, but okay. And then Ms. Singh appears, yay! So you're the chosen one. And Ms. Singh grills Charlie a bit, tells Nick to take him through the basics. And I love this exchange where Nick is like, twist your body a bit more. And Charlie says, like this? Yeah, it's like more of an underthrow. So like this? And Nick's like, yeah, but aim it at me. So Nick being a little snarky, but also, you know, still sweet and wonderful. And then they do their tackling practice. Oh, but before that, I do like one of the things that Nick does a lot in the comics is like grab Charlie's face and pinch it like that. It's just always cute. And I'm not saying that I want Kit Connor to abuse Joe's face, but I mean, it's cute. So anyway, Charlie is really pleased, and the tackling goes pretty well. All right, and then we get a little montage of the days passing and like Charlie getting better and the rugby lads accepting him, and it's wonderful. And then here we get a scene that's not in the show, which I really like because it shows that Charlie's actually being accepted. So like we have Christian here saying, "Oh, he's been doing really well, hasn't he?" And then all I knew about him was that he's gay. And then Nick's like, "Mate, I don't actually think being gay makes you bad at sports," which true that. But yeah, and Nick he's just a really cool guy. Like, Nick, you're just platonically interested in this boy. But and then Charlie suggests cutting his hair, and Nick is just shocked, like, what? Change your beautiful hair? And then we have a talk between Nick and Charlie. Charlie wondering if he's any good at rugby, and Nick reassuring him, like, yeah, of course, you're very good at rugby. And Charlie is scared of letting everyone down because he doesn't know whether they like him or want him on the team. And then Charlie says, all of the older boys kind of remind me of the people who used to bully me. And Nick looks kind of like this is the first time that's occurred to him. So he reassures Charlie by saying, well, I like you and want you on the team. And of course, all Charlie can hear is, I like you, I like you, I like you. There's this nice moment here where they go into the locker room or the changing room or whatever it is, and Charlie starts getting undressed, and we have this moment where Nick just kind of looks at him, and we don't really get any context, but like, you know, it's pretty clear he's checking him out. I'm sure he's not aware that he's checking him out because he has no idea as to his sexuality at this point, but there is some interest here. And then Charlie gets the message from Ben, and in this case we actually see him get the message in the locker room, and Nick is wondering if he's okay, and Charlie's just like, oh yeah, I'm meeting with someone after this, okay, sorry, bye. And then Nick is like, okay. So then Charlie goes off to meet with Ben, and right before he goes, there's a moment when he thinks about Nick saying, well, I like you. And then Charlie, of course, I assume realizing that, or reminding himself that, oh shit, you know, Nick is straight, this is pointless, what am I even doing? Thinks, what's the point? And then goes off to meet Ben. So like, even though he's still resolved at this point not to get back with Ben because Ben is an asshole, like he's still, maybe one of the things that's propelling him towards going to meet up with Ben is the fact that he knows he has no chance with Nick, or thinks he has no chance with Nick. Okay, and then we have a trigger warning for this section because we know it's coming. All right, so we do see Nick watching Charlie go. Into the music block. And then here's Ben, and the dialogue here is very similar. You're wearing a coat, it's not even cold, it's February, lame, etc.
You're wearing a coat. It's not even cold.
It's February.
Lame.
Okay, so this plays out very similarly to the way it does in the show. where Charlie's, basically asking him, like, why would I be scared about getting caught? Everybody already knows I'm gay. Except the difference very much, I think, is in the complexity of Ben and the layers that Sebastian Croft is able to bring to him. Because in this, like, Ben, in the show, Ben looks upset.
Charlie, look, I like you, but I'm figuring stuff out. Literally, what more do you want from me?
Like, Ben looks like what's happening is bothering him. Like, he really likes Charlie and wants to keep seeing him, but he's in the closet and has internalized homophobia and is just generally having some issues. But here, like, Ben is smirking the whole time. And then smiling again when Charlie is, like, yelling at him about not caring about his feelings. And he says, I could be anyone, you don't give a shit. And Ben just gives this smug smile and is like, that's obviously not true. And then smiling again, slams Charlie up against the wall and kisses him. And then in the show, Ben is kissing him and kind of desperate and saying, like, I really like you, I'm just figuring things out. And it's horrible, but here, Ben is grinning the whole time and saying, you're so hot when you're angry. And that just makes it so much worse because oh, God. It's really bad. So anyway, as before, Nick pulls Ben off of Charlie. Charlie is, tears are running down his face at this point. And we get some more satisfying language here where Nick says, he told you to stop, you fucking prick. And then throws or pushes Ben out of the way and says, go on, fuck off. And Ben does. And then we have Nick's little angry face as he stands protectively next to Charlie. And then, of course, asks Charlie if it's okay. Charlie wiping his tears away, asking if Nick heard all of that. And then we also get kind of a sneak peek into what was going on Nick's side of things, where he followed Charlie doing his best ninja impersonation around the corner, and then kind of overheard what was going on and ran to stop it. But yeah, same exchange here with being sorry. You have nothing to sorry about. You have nothing to be sorry about. You say sorry a lot, etc., which is one of my favorite moments in the show and is definitely one of my favorite moments here too.
You say sorry a lot. Don't say it.
I kind of want to say it.
Don't.
And again, we just see Nick, without hesitation, putting his arm around Charlie and, like, leading him outside.
We should get out. We'll get locked in if we stay here much longer.
Just to show him that everything's okay. Okay, and then they say goodbye, and Charlie looks back at Nick, but then, once again, it comes back to his mind, like, oh, shit, he is straight. This is pointless. And calls himself an idiot, and just feels very bad. So, a little bit of a darker Charlie here. Okay, and then we have Sarah Nelson, the wonderful, the wise, asking Nick about practice, and Nick, like, Nick is blushing already and just kind of staring off into the distance and not paying attention. And then we get this wonderful shot of him staring out the window, blushing and thinking about Charlie. Yeah, so that's the end of the first section or first chapter of the comics. And, like, it's really good. Like, it's a really strong start, and I think we get a great introduction into the characters. I mean, I think it's a little different in tone to what we get in the show. I mean, obviously some things are different, and Charlie's general personality is just a little bit different. And of course, Ben is super different. So a lot of that is down to how the actors interpret things. Anyway, so it's time for the cats to be fed, so they're going nuts. So I better wrap this up. But yeah, so what do you think about the comics version versus the show version? Do you like one better? Do you wish that something from the comics had ended up in the show? Or, I don't know, vice versa? Okay, so I hope to do more of these if people are interested. And oh look at this. Hello. Hi. Is it time for food by any chance? Is that why you've put your giant gray body on top of my desk? Okay. All right, I have to go clearly. Okay, bye.